The always fascinating, hyper-talented Lexie Brown is
Oh,
here. We
fascinating.
have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Athletes Unlimited, a brand new podcast,
Yep.
WNBA, Locked On Women's Basketball. Let's get to it. Starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And a very happy Tuesday to you, and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal. I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. More than 300,000 of you showed up to listen to our podcast the way we show up for you 6 days a week. And of course, it is not just me, it is the incredible team across the board at The Next, where we cover all things past, present, future of women's basketball. Again, make sure you subscribe to it. $9 a month, $72 a year. It all just shows up in your inbox. And frankly, you need it for all the things that Lexie Brown does. I mean, I don't even know where to begin, whether it's the WNBA, whether it's Athletes Unlimited, which is now happening and is delightful as always. But I want to start with the Full Circle podcast. Lexie, take us through your newest venture. I want to hear all about it.
Yeah. So y'all know I love to talk women's basketball. I love to talk in general. Um, and I usually have used my social media to, talk about women's basketball, NBA, WNBA, all types of things. I've always just wanted to like push the game forward, whatever that looked like. When I first got into the W, I wanted to, be one of the best players in the league. But, my career has kind of had its ups and downs. So, I took it upon myself to find other ways to continue to elevate women's basketball and continue to push it forward. And typically that's been with my voice, with my tweets, with my posts and stuff like that. So a little over a year ago, I got a text message from Sue Bird. And she was the one who had asked me if I was interested in having a women's basketball podcast with iHeart. And I couldn't believe it because one, Sue Bird was texting my phone. And then two, she was texting my phone about starting a podcast. So for me, this has just been a dream come true. We record once a week. We post once a week. We have YouTube videos. We're available on anywhere you get your podcast, but it's basically like a weekly wrap up of all things women's basketball and culture. We're going to have some amazing guests. I have a live show later this month in Nashville with some of the players that are in AU and some of the college players that are in Nashville. So I'm really excited about that and just cementing my voice in the women's game, whether I'm playing or not. Like I just always have been so passionate about it. So to be able to have my own platform now is just like a dream come true.
And just as a point of personal privilege, I've had the ability not just to talk to you and be able to tell your stories when I've had the opportunity, but I've had the chance to learn. Whenever we talk, whenever I'm interviewing you, it's a chance to learn. So the idea that everyone gets to do this, I can't stress it enough. You can get it wherever you get your podcast, right? On Apple, on Spotify,
Apple,
you name it.
Spotify, iHeart, yes. And if you like videos, we're on YouTube
We're
as
on
well.
YouTube as well. Good. So we'll have a link in the show notes as well. But make sure you are listening. I'm really excited about it. And I'm delighted to hear it. But obviously, you talked about being here in Nashville and Athletes Unlimited. Again, it isn't just a place where you play, it is a place where you have shaped the experience, where you have worked behind the scenes to do this and as a leader. And so just take us through experiencing it here and in what is year 4 of what is new and different this year. What are the biggest changes you've seen here in this year?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the new city. We made the decision to leave Dallas and move to Nashville, and that was a long conversation. Like that took a few weeks of back and forth and figuring out if this would be the right move for us. And so far, it's been the perfect move. You have the city now putting a bid in for a WNBA team, so it's like
Mhm.
we are here at the perfect time. We have all these universities. Women's basketball, Vanderbilt is right next door to where we are. So it's like the perfect place. So new city, biggest thing. And then if anybody who follows Athletes Unlimited, they're very familiar with the leaderboard and the scoring system and the captains. We decided, we're in a bigger system of Athletes Unlimited with other sports, and they typically like to keep things pretty uniform. But it took some convincing. We had to convince them that, basketball is just very different from the other sports, and the fact that one player can do so many things on the court, and that you're not limited to your position like in volleyball or in softball, where you do what you do and that's it. In basketball, you could be a point guard and one game have 10 rebounds. You can be a center and one day have 9 assists, hit some threes. Like, it goes like so up and down. And that's why, that's the beauty of basketball. That's the beauty of this game. So the biggest change we made was, instead of captains being chosen by cumulative leaderboard points, you get chosen by your weekly leaderboard points. So somebody in 20th place could just have a stellar week and have most accumulated points for that week, and then they can become a captain even if they're not the top 4 overall. So we just wanted to continue to give more players opportunities to lead, be captains, and just motivate players. Like, even if you're not high on the leaderboard, you still can have motivation to get points and win points and win games. And you can find yourself at 30th place, but you have a good week. You're a captain now, and now you're running the show. So this is our first week. We're in week 2 now, so this will be our first week, seeing how that even shakes out, if even it really makes a difference. So I'm really excited about it. I personally don't want to be a captain at all. I have too much on my plate already. I just enjoy showing up and doing what I'm told, but so far it's been such an amazing experience, and I think that change is going to be really good.
It sounds fascinating. And again, to increase the level of competition, the level is already, there's this intensity that comes with AU that I really enjoy, that I think is kind of critical I feel very much like we're in this moment where everyone's figuring out what the women's basketball calendar landscape looks like. And it needs to feel like there's stakes that go along with it. Do you feel like, I know it's 1 week, but do you feel as if you felt a difference on the court there in week 1?
Absolutely. I think that this is our most talented roster. But on the flip side, I think this is also our youngest roster. So we're finding the balance of these super talented players, and then them finding out how to be professionals. You're here in Nashville, but you're pretty much like, everything's up to you when you become a pro. Like, even in the W, you have to show up for practice, you have your times, and then the rest of the day is for yourself. And a lot of players are still figuring out how to spend their time, how to take care of their bodies, when to rest, when to not rest, when to get the extra workouts in, when not to. Week 1 was amazing. We had a few lopsided wins, but we had a few really amazing games. And I think that's also the fun part about Athletes Unlimited. Like, even if you are down a lot of points, you could still win points. You can win quarters. It's still competitive. Our game, I'm going to put our team on blast. We were down 20 very early, and the other team did not let up because they wanted all those quarter win points. So it's like, there's no giving up in Athletes Unlimited, and it's just competitive for 40 straight minutes. And it's so much fun. This is year 4 for me. So I'm very excited.
You have always been about building, and I wonder how much pride you take in the fact that, I, at some level, it feels like yesterday when AU was an idea that was just starting, right? I remember us talking about it before the beginning. And what does it feel like to know that you've built something here that's now become such a critical part of the women's basketball landscape, and, with the stability of 4 years under your belts now?
Yeah. AU's my family. AU's home. They took a chance on women's basketball before anybody else was doing that. They took a chance on a ton of players that were not your typical superstars in the WNBA. And we built something here. And it's a reason why I keep coming back. It's a reason why I wanted to be a part of continuing to build it and move it forward and make it a premier destination for off-season professional women's basketball players. It changed my career. My first year in AU, I was fresh off of a WNBA championship and not sure if I was going to be on a team the next year. I went overseas, and I bet on myself. I said, I'm not whatever I'm getting overseas, I can find these same opportunities in the States with Athletes Unlimited, and they held a spot for me, even though I jetted off to France for a few months. They saved the spot for me like they said they would, and this has been the best decision I've ever made. And seeing more and more players come into Athletes Unlimited and regain their confidence and regain their joy for the game and get new opportunities on and off the court. Like now that's what's important to me with Athletes Unlimited. Yes, like I'm here to get better and hone on my skills and work on stuff, get ready for the W season. But overall, like my goal is to just continue to put more players in good situations, because I didn't have that luxury when I was a young player. I didn't really have anybody making sure that I was good, making sure that I was prepared to be a professional. So I just want to be that person for these younger players and some of these players that are, similar to my age. We got some vets in here that, they told us, they were like, we were kind of unsure about Athens. Like we kind of heard some like weird things about AU, but this is exceeding all of our expectations. And if we can just get a few more W players to feel that way every year, then that's a win for us, I think.
No doubt about it. And I will say they get no credit for saving a spot for Lexie Brown, because there should always be a spot for you anywhere you go. But that neither here nor there. I'm glad they did. I'm glad to hear it. I want to talk a little more AU actually after the break, before we get into the LA Sparks as well. And just I also, we need to talk about the paradigm that I feel like you've helped to build about prioritizing health and wellness. So we're going to talk all this with Lexie Brown right after this. But first, Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by OpenPhone. Now, running a small business means you're wearing a lot of hats. I can tell you this from my personal experience. Your personal phone becomes your business phone, and before you know it, you're juggling customer calls all day and night. So as your team grows, you need to manage everything, and that's where OpenPhone comes in. It's a #1 business phone system designed to keep your work and your personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. OpenPhone works through an app on your phone or your computer, integrates with HubSpot, you name it. It uses AI-powered call transcripts, summaries. You'll have a rundown of everything you're doing the second you hang up. There's even automated messages sent directly to your customer if you ever miss a call. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off 6 months. openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over, no extra charge. Back here with Lexie Brown, Athletes Unlimited, the Los Angeles Sparks, the Full Circle podcast. Again, just to reiterate, sign up wherever you get your podcasts. I'm so excited about this. I'm adding to my road. I've got so much travel coming up. This is going to be amazing.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yeah, and then this week's episode is going to be amazing. I'm so
Who you got? What's this week's episode?
CBA episode with Terry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Very good.
She's incredible. And I don't think people really know who Terry is and how important she is to us. So we got her talking, how she can get, but broke things down, all things CBA. And I'm so, the episode is so amazing. I'm so excited.
It's so smart. It's so important. And by the way, and so Terry Jackson, of course, has been on our podcast and will be again. But it's so important in this moment, in this time, with active CBA negotiations going on. I broke on the podcast last week that the two sides have met just recently to get the messaging out as players at this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is probably the most important CBA negotiation the league has ever had and maybe ever will have, as it's, to distribute effectively the financial windfall that's coming in from this new 11-year media rights deal. But, getting that out there on the everyday, how important is that to the players?
And that's funny you said that, because I did ask her that, like, how important it is for us to keep people kind of in the loop about the negotiations. And she said, to keep it very surface level because they are negotiations. Like you don't want to show your hand publicly too much. And I'm on the committee now, so I'm in all of these meetings and I'm
Right.
understanding and learning the business of basketball and sports. You know, like with every meeting, they've been amazing. So she just says, I mean, keep people like on their toes about it, but like for the most part, like this is not something that we need like public opinion for. Like
Hmm.
we have to do this the right way and we have to do this for us, and it's a lot of layers and a lot of different priorities in place and a lot of moving parts, especially with the new teams coming. So it's been a lot, but I've learned so much, and me and Terry have been so close since I first got into the league. She's actually helped me quite a few times out of some situations in my career. So me and her have a very special bond, and I'm really grateful that she came on my show. Like I think this is our 4th episode, so like very early, and I asked her months ago, and she was so excited to do it. So I mean, people like Terry deserve their flowers and love like right now, immediately, all the time.
I'm glad to hear that you're so involved too. And that's obviously going to be good for the players as a whole because of the wealth of experience that you bring. Before we get to the WNBA side of things, because obviously it's been a really interesting period for the LA Sparks specifically, but also throughout the league. Just when you look at the newcomers to AU, I'm just wondering who sort of popped for you. And I don't just mean, let's say somebody like Akia Nurse, who's, bringing WNBA experience, but there's always these sort of under the radar players. It's one of my favorite parts about AU, where we know there's more talent than opportunities, right? So like, give me who you're shouting out as somebody people got to pay attention to who they're not aware of yet.
Definitely Alyssa Peely. She had a great first week. I was very familiar with her game, which is why we worked very hard to get her into Athletes Unlimited, because I remember watching her in college and knew that she was going to be one of the gems and steals of the draft last season. Like you just said, there's more talent than opportunity in the W sometimes. So she had her moments over the summer with the Lynx, but that team is loaded, obviously. So you didn't really get to see her get many opportunities. With the Lynx, she's so versatile. Her shot is beautiful. She's very smart. And she's like a sweetheart. Like, she plays like with this tenacity, and then off the court, she's like very quiet and reserved. And she's just a really amazing human being. So I'm really excited at the week she had. She had a great scrimmage week as well. And she's a hot commodity. I think she's been picked pretty early in both of the drafts that we've had. So I'm excited for her week 2. Yeah, I think she's someone that it's going to translate to the W. And her Lynx coaches were here over the weekend. So they know what they have in her. And that's the important thing, is that even though you're not on the court all the time, like, knowing that your coaching staff and your teammates and your front office understand the value you add and have, like, that's important. Even though you might not be seeing it on the box score or minutes played, you just got to continue to keep your value high and keep adding value to yourself. And that's something that I personally learned throughout my career, is adding different things to your game to continue to increase your value.
It's been fun to see, and Alyssa's somebody who we had the privilege of having on the show a couple weeks ago, and also back in her Utah days. It's a game unlike, I think, anybody else's. She's this 5, despite the fact that height-wise you think she's undersized, but the way she's able to defend players 5-6 inches taller than she is just mind-blowing.
She's strong.
And that offense, when you play for Lynn Roberts, you get the opportunity to learn about where the best spots on the floor are to be able to do it. And so she had a chance to do it. So let's talk about somebody else who is going to get this opportunity to play for Lynn Roberts. And so for you, take me through just sort of what your perspective has been seeing what's happening in LA, and sort of, you were somebody to buy in LA pretty early on, and I'm just curious what your perspective has been on all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I have been with LA for a minute. I think I'm the last one standing from my first year in the Sparks jersey.
Yeah.
I've experienced a lot of change. I've experienced a lot of hardships, some drama sprinkled in a little bit. And then overall, just a lack of um, like what direction, I would say. And this year, after last season, is probably the first time that I've really felt the Sparks heading in a direction. Um, and that's no disrespect to the Sparks organization at all. But as a player, as a professional athlete, and you're constantly in limbo about your coaching staff, about your medical staff, about your teammates, about your practice locations, like that's not a conducive environment for success. So when people are very hard on our team, we can't, put together a winning season. Like there's a lot of things at play that contribute to that. And it's not the play on the court. That's like probably at the bottom of the totem pole of things that, make a professional team a winning franchise or a winning culture. So, our 2 rookies last year were incredible. They were great. Sponges, both of them were so fun to have on the team, and seeing them both grow, even though Cameron, was hurt, seeing them mature and grow and learn and get through the humps of a season, and them being able to just experience that as rookies. Like it was cool to watch, and it was cool to see them have that opportunity. Us adding veterans like Odyssey and Kelsey in the off season just solidified, the direction that we're heading. Like rebuild time is not here anymore. Like we're not rebuilding anymore. And I feel like, and I've said it on my show, that when you put the term rebuild on a team, you kind of have no expectations for yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we're a more talented team than that. And I think everyone is understanding that. And I'm just really excited. And I hope that this group sticks because it's been literally a revolving door of teammates and coaches for me since I've been in LA. And I love LA. So, I have no complaints. I don't want to go anywhere. But I'm hoping that this is like a step in the right direction. And I feel like it is.
As far as the Sparks go, you talk about sort of building for the longer term, but we're at this moment, even to sort of circle back on the CBA part, where nobody's signing beyond 2025. And there's one contract that's signed beyond 2025, and for good reason, because the rules of the road are about to change in a fairly massive way. When you think about it, you certainly have made LA your home, but what are the ways in which you kind of balance those things between finding comfort, finding culture, trying to build bigger picture, and at the same time knowing and understanding that, like, the end of this year, it's almost like the card table's getting flipped over no matter how it goes, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, and we've known, like you said, we've known each other for a long time. Like my W career, what I thought it was going to be and what it's turned out to be so far are night and day as far as my mind being able to contribute to like gameplay. And I've had spurts. I've had moments of me feeling like I could be one of the best players in the league. And I feel like a lot of players have probably felt that way, as you should. You are one of the best basketball players on the planet. You should definitely feel that way about yourself if you're going to last in this league. For me, I have prioritized different things. Like, yes, a big contract would be ideal. I would love that for myself. I work hard enough. I think it will come when it's supposed to. But year 8, this is my first guaranteed deal since I've been in the league. And like I said, I love Los Angeles. I've built a very nice off-court life in Los Angeles. I have a lot of opportunities in Los Angeles. And I opted to maybe not make as much money as I could have made somewhere else if I decided to be a free agent a year ago. So for me, everybody's priorities are different, and that's like a beautiful thing, like free will. Like I've seen people like say that like this is a great use of free will. Like people can do what they want and what makes them feel comfortable. And I've chosen that. I think me and Kalani Brown are the only two players signed through 2026.
Right.
The Sparks offered me that extension in the middle of my health crisis, and I took it because I had no idea what my life was going to look like after getting sick. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would be eternally grateful to the Sparks organization for giving me that extension, despite not knowing if I was ever going to play basketball again. So yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for the new CBA. I don't want any parts in that first year of contract negotiations because it's going to be absurd. But it's going to be fun to talk about it and report on it. But it's great for everybody. And this year, I think, is critical for us as players as well to continue to put a good product on the floor and get more eyeballs on the W and continue to keep, like I said, keep your value high.
I mean, I love that you're just going to kind of sit back and embrace the chaos and
Because I
utilize it on the
remember
contract.
the last time it happened, it was nuts. Like
Yeah.
the last CBA when the salaries went up. So been there, I've already seen it, and it was amazing to see all these players get what they deserve because we all deserve everything, in my opinion. So it's going to be fun. I mean, again, but the CBA has to get signed. Like I think people are. That's why I brought Terry on. I'm like this. It's not set in stone that any of these things are going to happen, unfortunately. And there's things that need to. There are other priorities that people really probably have no idea about, which is fine. But things are not set in stone. Yeah.
They all matter. And to your point, and this even dovetails what we talked about at the original AU, giving you that flexibility because you have that in your overall professional opportunities as well. Feels like it helps you to be able to make a decision to choose LA over the long term too. Do you feel like that sort of part of the free will is just these sort of options that to your point when we were first when I was first covering you, we're not there. We're not there.
I had to go to Europe, which don't get me wrong, was a great experience. Like I had a great time, and you spend a lot of time in the gym overseas, and as a gym rat, I did not mind that one bit. But the fact that we have options now, players have options to quite literally just work off the court in the off season. Like I think it's amazing whether players are choosing to play in the off season or just explore other things and do other stuff. Like the fact that that is an option is a win for all of women's basketball. And we always have talked about like the disconnect of, younger players, college players and the W players. And I think for so long, like the people looked at WNBA and our lifestyle and the things that we had to deal with as just something that was not something that they wanted for themselves. And I think now people are looking at WNBA players and all professional women's athletes and seeing like these lives that we live. Like we have a lot of fun. Like it's cool. It's hard work. Like that I think people forget how like we literally work our whole lives to get to these moments and these places in our careers. But I think now people are finally seeing like, yes, there are fruits of the labor. Like it's not just a constant struggle 24/7. And I feel for so many years, people just thought being a women's professional athlete was just constant struggle, which yes, the struggle still exists. But like I wouldn't trade this job, this career for anything. Like I love it.
I would be remiss not to point out just the work you've put in has helped make it that way. And the fact that it's happened under your watch is not a coincidence. So I just think it's people should keep that in mind. And I do resent the idea of you saying that you're not a young player anymore.
I
can't
know.
get my mind around that. I mean, I know you had the 30th birthday, but I don't know what that makes me at 44, but I don't even want to think about it. All I'm saying is that flexibility, that freedom, that free will, you've helped create those conditions. And so the place I just want to end up on is the fact that you have prioritized your health. You're right that the Sparks have made room for you, and that is a big deal. And people need to know that too. So I'm glad that you mentioned it. But just for you, how how freeing was it to know that you could prioritize your health and have the career that you are now having, and those two things are not in direct conflict?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't start that way, unfortunately, and that was
Right.
all on me. Like, that was me not asking for help when I knew something was wrong. That was me just trying to outwork what was going on with my body, not having any idea how serious it really was. But finally, being able to just ask them for help and let them know that there was something wrong. And then the last 2 seasons, them being so supportive and helpful while I decided to, take a step away from
Mhm.
the game, which for me, if anybody knows me, very hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't easy. Like, there were difficult conversations that were had about the future of my basketball, the future of, me being a professional athlete. Like, there was just a lot of question marks, especially early on with my diagnosis of Crohn's disease. But being able to prioritize my mental health and wellness, um, has been the biggest game changer for me, especially somebody that does do a lot of things online and travels a lot and doing all these types of stuff. I've just had to prioritize different things. And honestly, I didn't know like how that was gonna work out. Like, I didn't know if I was gonna maybe miss out on opportunities, or, one day the sparks were gonna wake up and just be like, we don't, trust this process that you're going through. So we're just gonna like release you. Like, those were things that were constantly going through my head until one day I just kind of freed all of that doubt and negativity. And the blessings have come back to me like tenfold. Like, I actually can't believe all of the things that I've been able to be a part of and contribute to and start, while I've been dealing with this health stuff. And now I'm back finally feeling healthy again, and I'm back playing basketball the way that I always knew that I've been able to play it. And now I have all these other things going on in my life as well on top of it. So it's just a blessing now. Like, every day I wake up just so grateful and humbled by um, that experience that I had to go through and grow through. And I'm just happy that I can be somebody that people can look at and be like, oh, she went through a hard thing and got through it. She got through a hard thing and was very transparent about it. And I think that was the key to me, being able to get over that dark time I was in, was just kind of just being open about it and just being like, I'm going through it, guys. Like, it is what it is. But we're gonna make it to the end. And I feel like we are at the end of the bad times. I don't think I could ever go back there. I think the worst is behind me for sure. But just the relationships I've built, and even in the Crohn's and colitis community, like, has been life changing. Like, just seeing so many people dealing with so many difficult things and being able to just exist and live day to day, and me being able to talk to those people and learn from them and give them inspiration and motivation. Like, it's been everything to me.
It's wonderful to see. I'm always grateful for our time together. For those of you who want to watch Lexie play, Team Harris is playing at 7 p.m. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February 12th, 7 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you are tuning in to all things Athletes Unlimited. And again, all things Lexie Brown, including the Full Circle podcast. Can't wait to hear that. Lexie, I appreciate your time. To our listeners, I appreciate you showing up for us every day. We're back with you tomorrow. Chelsea Leite will take you through our Wednesday show. Until then, I'm Howard Megdal, wishing all of you a wonderful Tuesday.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.